In this week's Parashat Shelach, we have the sin of the Meraglim. We have 10 spies out of the 12. They're going to speak a very negative report against the land of Israel, and they speak Lashon Hara, we're not going to make it, and the whole Jewish people are going to believe them, and because of that, that whole generation is going to die in the desert. We're going to have to wait another 38 years to enter the land of Israel. So the question is, what happened? What went wrong over here? Why did they sin? Why did they not want into the land of Israel? Also, another question, why are the Jewish people being punished so harshly? If we go back to the Egel HaZahav, Hashem kind of accepts their full teshuvah, but here Hashem doesn't. This generation has to die. Well, actually, I did see. There is one approach that says that it says that for the 40 days they went into the land of Israel, for the 40 days they were there, we have to be 40 years in the desert. But the truth of the matter is, it's only 38 years from this point, because this is now 2 years later. So where did the 40 come from? So really, maybe they try to extend the Egel sin now gets extended through the spies, and it's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, and now we have the full 40 years really dating back. But it seems to be, though, of just a literal reading of what's going on over here, that it's not so. It seems to be that this sin doesn't get a full teshuvah. The previous one did. And also, what's the deal with these spies? Why are they speaking out against the land of Israel? If you look at, we learn about the spies early on, so the parasha tells us these were very holy people. They're called the Kulam Anashim. They're all Anashim. They're Rashei Bnei Israel. They're the heads of the tribes. These are very important people. Look at Rashi. Rashi says they were kasher at this point. The Balaturim, these are Chachamim. These are wise people. These are holy people. Now, it's not fully clear. Are they the original Nesi'im, or are they middle level Nesi'im? That's not so clear in the Mefarshim, but they are considered to be very holy, very righteous people. And we look, two of them are Yoshua and Caleb. Yoshua ben Nun, Caleb ben Yefuneh. These are holy people. So where did this sin come from? What were they thinking? Okay. Says the Zohar HaKadosh that we're going to quoting now, the Slonim Rebbe, Netivot Shalom, says beautiful ideas. This is Netivot Shalom, Slonim Rebbe quoting the Zohar HaKadosh. He says that, where did the sin come from? He says, why did they not want to enter the Eretz Kenaan? Why did they not want to enter the land of Israel? Because they feared that right now they're the Rashim, they're the heads, they're in a high leadership position. But once they enter the land of Israel, they're no longer going to be able to hold on to that leadership role. So he discusses at length where did that fear come from, how the land of Israel is different than the Midbar, you need different leadership in different places, and how they can actually sin if they were such an lofty level. But ultimately he explains that where was it coming from? There was this desire to hold on to power, and he says the land of Israel can't handle that, meaning not as much as it's a punishment, but it's really more of a test. And if you are a person who desires power, it's incompatible with the land of Israel. And he quotes beautifully the Haidah. Says the Haidah, what is the land Kenaan? Your land of Eretz Yisrael was called back then Kenaan. What is Kenaan? Chanaan. What are those letters? What do they symbolize? Kenaan is a language of Hachnaa. What is Hachnaa? Same shorish over there. Hachnaa is a language of submission, of humbling oneself. If you want to enter the land of Israel, you have to have a koach of humility. And in the previous recording that we just posted, we spoke about the yud of Yeshua's name. That where did it come from? So according to the Targum Yonatan ben Uziel, the yud of Yeshua's name came from the anab, the word humility that was mentioned with Moshe Rabbeinu that Moshe didn't write down. He took the yud from his praise, the godly praise of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe took it and he gave it to Hoshea Rabbeinu and gave it to Yehoshua, gives him the yud of anava, because Yehoshua is going to be ultimately the guy that's going to enter and conquer the land of Israel. And right now, if you want to love the land of Israel, you have to have this koach of humility, of Hachnaa. That's the only way to conquer Kenaan. And he says, so too by the name of, says Slonim Rebbe, so too by the name Caleb. But the pasuk says by Caleb, that Caleb is called Ba'avdi Caleb. Caleb is my servant, he's the Eved. We said there's three people that are called an Eved by God. Caleb is one of them. Caleb is Avdi, and it says, Ekev Ruach Acheret Aitayimo, because he had a different Ruach, a different spirit, he was different. But it says Ekev. What is Ekev? Ekev means the heel, hinting to the idea that of the heel as well symbolizes humility. It's the bottom of the leg, it's the heel. He's the humble Caleb, he's the Ekev. So we have ourselves Yoshua, who has the Yud from the Anava. We have Caleb, who's the Ekev. These are humble people. And he says, and you want the land of Israel? The land of Israel needs humility. And he quotes the pasuk in Tehillim. This is Tehillim Lamed Zayin says a little remez over there. Anavim, your shuaretz. If you want to inherit the land of Israel, you have to be Anavim. You have to have humility. When Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Shlach lecha, says Rashi, lecha leda'atcha, which here translates to Slonim Rebbe. What do you mean leda'atcha? People that have a similar da'at to you. Moshe, and we were learning last week's parsha, the most humble of all human beings. You have to pick people that are similar to you, that have that concept of humility, of Hachnaa, because only people with Hachnaa can conquer the land of Kenaan. But ultimately, he says these tribes, these heads of the tribes, By talking about how the Rashi Avot, that they're the heads of tribe, that was already hinting to the Pagam, hinting to their blemish, to their issue was they didn't have that full Hachnaa. They had this desire for power, for leadership, and ultimately that's not compatible with the land of Israel. And says the Slonim Rebbe, that's also why the whole Jewish people are punished different than the Egel. By the Egel, there was a teshuvah process. We can keep going on. Hashem is still going to be with us. It's going to be great. We had a broken heart. We were broken. We were mourning. We prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe prayed. We had Hachnaa, and we still were able to make it to the land of Israel. But what happens after the sin of the spies? We spoke in previous years. What's the very next story? The story of the Ma'apilim. After Moshe tells them about the Gezerah, you're not going to make it to the land of Israel. This whole generation is going to die in the desert. So a group of people woke up early the next morning and says, no, we did tshuva. We're sorry, Hashem. We didn't mean it. We want the land of Israel. We love the land of Israel now. And they ignored Hashem saying, don't go into the land of Israel. And they try to go in themselves, and all of them die. Moshe said, don't do it. You're not going to make it. Hashem already punished you. You have a gezerah. But they were stubborn, or they said, no, we're going to fix it. We can do this. But that's a lack of humility. That's a lack of submission. There's no hachna'ah. If Hashem's will is you're not going to enter the land of Israel, you can't now say, I'm going to enter the land of Israel. The ma'apilim were lacking hachna'ah, submission, humility, and that's why they can't get into the land of Israel, because that's the midah that's antithetical to the Eretz Kenaan, and that's ultimately the deeper reason behind the sin. Shabbat Shalom.